Alright. Welcome to the 8th Note Sessions. I'm Devin Mullen.
And I'm Mike Shamil.
And today we are joined by part of the group, Muddle. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
So, you describe your music as gunk, and I feel like that's the simplest, most direct place to start from. Because I was scratching my head on that. What is gunk?
Well, okay, so basically it's just like, we just started with like the bass where that was like punk, and then we were like, you know what, we'll just have any like music genre that begins with G, just like shove it in there, and that's what it is. We just were like, whatever. We thought we were doing something. You know?
Beautiful. For the folks at home who are maybe scratching their head, coming up with G genres.
I mean, you got grunge is the most obvious.
Well, grunge is the most obvious, sure. But,
yeah.
The sound is very...
Good jazz is the
punky.
second most obvious.
Good jazz, sure. Good folk, GNU. It's very, very heavy. A lot of anger, a lot of driving force with it, incorporating punk, a fusion of sort of older metal. I hear like Black Sabbath in it. I hear some sludge. I hear some noise, but a lot of attitude, essentially. And it's a fitting genre for a band called Muddle. You guys were on tour in September.
Yes.
Touring during a pandemic. What was that like?
Well, I don't know. It wasn't really that different because for some reason over the summer, everyone seemed to just like forget that it existed. But like obviously like everyone was wearing like masks and that.
Yeah.
All the shows.
Basically, the only thing that was different than I would ever expect from like normal touring, it was like you just wore masks, you know.
Yeah, which like was I was happy about.
Yeah.
Like.
Don't want to bring anything home.
Yeah.
But yeah, because we were all kind of in like the same circle. It was just kind of like chill, and I don't really think that any hardships came in the way. Like,
yeah.
From the pandemic, other than waiting to tour.
Yeah.
So that was the only thing that was like a hardship.
Well, beautiful. For any musicians who are at home, maybe in a similar stage of their career to you guys, just kind of starting out, but who haven't gotten on tour yet, were there any lessons that you picked up along the way?
Any lessons? I just like really look into where you're playing because some people could kind of screw you over a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say definitely look at the bands, look at where it is, like try and find out at least a little about where you're playing.
Yeah, especially if you're traveling to play there.
Yeah.
Were you mostly booking through other bands or directly with venues?
They were all DIY spots.
Yeah,
so
it was
just the bands helping us out.
Okay.
Yeah, like it was the vocalist of Torture Agenda and like mostly you, right? Doing the picking where to go. Actually, like didn't one place like flood or something, and we had to like change the venue? Yeah. Yeah. So we had to do that.
Hopefully before you got there. Not like mid-set or something. Yeah.
Well, the stage is now a raft. We've unplugged the guitars, so we're just going to scream and paddle away.
The venue's now waterfront property, so ticket prices have gone up accordingly. It's just,
I know. We had a heater that just kicked on. It's really loud, so if you hear that, let us know. We can move.
So far,
actually
the computer's filtering out pretty well.
Cool.
Okay.
Very good.
So DIY spaces, house shows. There is a whole community, even in Buffalo, of house shows like Soup, the recently opened Juice Box. Are there any other spots that don't have the officiated title of being a venue, but are still a venue that you guys like playing at?
Well, in Buffalo, there's really only the Soup and I mean I guess like Area 54 kind of.
Yeah, isn't that like a restaurant? It's like a restaurant with a
but they
stage.
they do shows on like the other side,
Yeah.
which I guess would be a DIY spot because it's not actually like a
There's
venue.
the Chaos Compound in Rochester, but that's in Rochester. But in Buffalo, there's really not a lot of DIY spaces, which I think kind of is
Yeah,
it's a bummer.
most of the ones that were here like got messed up from COVID.
Sugar
Or yeah, that place was really cool.
Yeah, there was a place around the corner from me on Elmwood that I got invited to go check out, and I was like, oh, I'm a little bit busy this week, and literally a week later, the pandemic began, and that venue just disappeared off the map, and I was like, oh.
Wait, do you know what it was?
Mr. Chance.
You know, I know the address, but it didn't have like a name yet, and I don't know if the people living there now want the address out there. It was fresh. They maybe had like a couple months of shows there, and like now its growth just got stunted.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hearing about places closed was definitely like, really upsetting.
Yeah, I agree.
I suppose that dovetails into the next question. So we, not so long ago, were in lockdown, and we had gone into lockdown fairly shortly after you established Muddle. Did that give you whiplash at all? Like, how did you cope with being able to play out and then not being able to?
I was trying hard, but this laptop is very quiet.
Yeah, my laptop's like super quiet. Do you think you can repeat that? I'm sorry.
Sure. So you had established Muddle in 2019, yes?
Yeah, like it became like we're actually doing shows and people are listening. Yeah.
And then immediately, or more or less immediately, we're in lockdown mode. How did you deal with the whiplash of that, and not only keep the project going, but keep it growing and put out a release and, keep spirits up?
Yeah. It was definitely really upsetting because we had like so many shows lined up, like which was like really exciting for us. Cause
we were gonna open up for like, I forget, but yeah, it was. We were very excited for the shows we had. But.
Yeah, it was really upsetting because like we were super excited, and then like they slowly just started all getting canceled, and like that was a bummer. And then like we couldn't see each other for like
2 months.
Yeah, like 2 months or so, and
that sucked.
But after that we started like practicing a lot more, and then like there were like little shows, but really nothing like that big. And then like I say like 2021, they like actually kind of started coming back a little more when it got warm out. And yeah, and then over this summer there was a good amount of shows, and now it's happening a little more, which is nice.
Yeah, we just had there was a lull in shows in about maybe January. Of this year, where it just, I mean, because there was the Omicron, so that no one was doing shows, so that also was like kind of felt like a repeat of it. I was like, oh fuck,
yeah, again, damn it.
Yeah, or you just feel like you don't play for a month and you're like, everyone forgot. It's just stupid, but
it's not stupid, because I've gotten that feeling too, and I'm not playing for a couple of months and I'm not doing a whole lot in public. I feel like the wave of entertainment, because we get so much shit thrown at us all the time, that I feel like sometimes if I don't play enough, that I just get kind of like swept away and people's attentions are gone and I have to start over. So that's a good feeling. I mean, that is something that, as a musician, we kind of have to like, sort of compete against, is the other things that are trying to get people's attention.
Yeah.
So, despite any discouragement that necessarily would follow all this stuff, you guys have kept it going really strong. What's coming down the pipe in terms of releases, shows?
We have just recorded for the second time, actually, because we didn't really like so basically we recorded a second album, which we're very excited about. It's like, what, 10 or 11 songs?
Ooh.
Yeah.
10 or 11. And it's it doesn't have a name yet, but we're very excited for that because it's definitely like more in a direction we want to like take our music in the future. And I think even like then, like ever since recording it, I feel like we've even like, I want to use the word evolved because it's a stupid word, but like we've changed our sound into more things that we want to do or like try out. And that's kind of like, that's very exciting. And so yeah, basically, yeah, so we just have a new album coming out soon, hopefully.
In our pre-interview conversation, you had talked about the transition from crackhead behavior to Protect and Serve, which was a single, and it opens up with the lines, "No justice, no peace," and seems to be taking on a much more socially conscious perspective than maybe the previous release.
Yeah.
When you're talking about changing the sound and sort of changing the direction of your project, is it getting into that space of punk as social commentary, or are you looking to thread that needle where there's a little bit of intellectual substance but the energy is still the main thing?
Yeah, I would say I think Protect and Serve is our, like, on this album we just recorded, it's maybe our, no, I think we have 3 songs that actually are, they have a more serious political drive behind them.
I'd say like this album, we're definitely like in some of our songs, like we're actually like, you know, talking about like a lot of social issues and stuff in the world.
We have one song called Waste, which our guitarist wrote the words or the whole thing.
Well, he wrote it all.
Yeah, wrote it all. And it's like about like consumerism and how companies will just throw out perfectly good things because they can, you know. So that's one song that I'm quite a fan of lyrically. And yeah.
Beautiful. I know.
Yeah, so.
Maggie, in our pre-interview conversation, you had talked about punk music being a natural outlet for feelings of anger.
Yeah.
And it's such an interesting contrast joining you in conversation because you don't come across as this like furious, rage-addled person. But you get up on stage and you know you're a banshee. You're wild. It's a
Thank you.
What are the things that cause you anger growing up in this day?
Devin, I don't think we have that long of an interview. No, I'm kidding.
Things I was like, oh god, things that I don't know. Okay, this is kind of a crazy question to ask on the spot, but things that make me angry is, I mean, just the things that I feel like should make everyone angry. I don't know. Yeah, it's just
where to start?
A lot of
right?
people with awful opinions.
Yes.
People who put people down because they don't fit in or something like that, or fucking racist people and transphobic people, sexist people.
Yes, sexism is, I mean, it's not a hot take at all, but yeah, sexism is definitely something that, you know, I'll experience it in like very like sparingly small ways, like in like the scene and stuff. Usually with just like strangers that come in and stuff, but
it's just like random like people.
Yeah, and I think that definitely like, but when I'm on like stage, I definitely just I don't really think of like instances per se. It's more so just like the feeling you feel during those instances where you're just like and it just and it comes out and it's I don't know.
You give form to something formless, right?
Yeah.
I think anybody can relate. Anybody can relate to that. Nobody likes assholes, and there are assholes abounding throughout this life. So I think you got your finger right on the pulse for that.
Yeah.
So, what are some of the challenges of being a musician in Buffalo. Not necessarily particular to the punk scene, because I think when you boil it down, all scenes share some commonalities, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, getting shows and stuff like that, it's not really hard. I think when we first started, it was really hard to, like,
you know who to talk to.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
And now, like, we definitely have met a lot more people. Like, we can, like, set shows up, like, you know, very, very easily now. But I'd say, like, the biggest issue is just, like, just sometimes there's just someone who will show up and just be a creep or something, like, out of nowhere, and it just, like, ruins everyone's time, and it's, like, so upsetting. And, you know, when that usually happens, we make sure, like, never show their face wherever we're playing again. And, like, I'd say, like, stuff like that is definitely, like, an actual issue sometimes. I don't say, like, too often, but, like, I don't know.
I don't have any, like, really any, like, complaints about, like, this scene other than, you know what? I was thinking something and I totally lost it. I'm not even kidding you. I was literally thinking something and lost it.
I don't think it's anyone particularly in, like, the punk scene.
Smaller?
Like, it's just, like, some random person we've never seen before will show up and just, like, fuck it up. And
who invited this guy?
Literally, exactly.
This is a private basement show. Who gave this guy an address?
It's like the bassist's brother's cousin's sister twice removed that just showed up, and you're like,
that person's dog just showed up.
Yeah.
And they pissed everywhere in the show.
Something we had talked a little bit about in the pre-interview conversation was issues of accountability, which, there still isn't enough accountability, and it doesn't matter what the circumstance or situation being described is. There's probably not accountability for it.
Yeah.
It's interesting though. You said you make people not show their face again, so maybe that's
usually, like, at our shows, like, we always make sure to let everyone know if anyone's, like, making you uncomfortable, to, like, you know, let us know.
And
or let any of
it's
our
really
friends.
sad the amount of times people actually come up to you. That kind of shock that makes me very upset is the amount of times that people will come up to you and actually be like, yeah, yo, like, this is not, like, this person so and so, like, and that's upsetting, because we do have, like, a younger crowd who listens to our stuff. So I mean, we want to make sure anyone was, like, comfortable and safe, but especially if they're, like, minors, it's like you feel this responsibility towards them, because you're coming to see, like, us and these other bands perform. So we want to make sure that, like, A, you're comfortable, B, like, you can say something if you're not, like, so yeah.
It's important, though, that you encourage that sort of environment where people can feel comfortable enough to approach you guys and let you know that something's wrong.
Yes.
Because that is important when I think accountability kind of starts at that point where, different members of the community start kind of getting together and having those conversations and saying, hey, like, this person's been a problem to me. Help.
Yeah, definitely encourage any scene to make it a safe space, like, as much as possible.
It's funny because you think that'd be, like, baseline.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's really, because some people are, like, have, like, the idea that, like, oh, punk's supposed to make you uncomfortable. You're supposed to be uncomfortable when you go to shows. And that's, like, not true.
Yeah,
it's not true at all.
Be able to have the fun time.
My goodness,
and not worry about that.
Punk shows have been, like, the most responsible, like, gigs I've ever been to. Even during the point when we could start having shows again, but we all still had to stay masked. If I went to a punk show, whether it was in Buffalo or Rochester, everyone was wearing masks. When people get knocked around, like, if they get knocked on their ass in the mosh pit, folks stand up and pick them up. Someone loses their glasses, they stop. You see lights come on and they get the glasses, and then they go back to throwing each other around. I love that about the punk shows. But if I go to, like, a regular rock show or, like, a mixed genre show, And, you know, like, there tends to be a little bit older of a crowd during that time period. I was observing a lot of people that were, you know, defying the mask rules and acting like, you know, you're stepping on my freedom and, like, crap like that. And I'm like, you know, the punks got it figured out. Their shows are like the most responsible, and you're right, like, it gets the rap of like being the most like irresponsible music. They're like, look at those kids, you know, they're causing so much racket. I'm like, yeah, but they're using their brains, and they're actually like, they give a shit about each other. You guys are screwing each other and everyone in the room and don't care, but you think you do.
It's really interesting. I mean, not to get like too pseudo intellectual for a sec, but I think a lot of it has to do with punk's like close association to the anarchy. Not as a political system, but just as a or lack of system. I don't know. More just this idea that no one is necessarily above anyone else, and if someone places themselves above someone else, they will be dragged down.
Yes.
You know,
Yes. Definitely people being like pretentious in this shit is
made fun of.
It's just, it's cringe. It's like, stop. You know better than anybody else.
Someone will literally just like, shut up.
Yeah.
Like, literally shut up. Like, I've like seen it where people just get called out because you're just like, thank you, because they were so annoying. And like, I wasn't going to say anything. I'm so glad you did.
So, thank you both for joining us in conversation tonight. I just have one last question, and it should be a nice, simple one, and hopefully a nice way of ending the interview. What do you both like about Muddle, and the music you make?
I think I like about it is it's we get to really do whatever we want. There's no one like telling us to sound a certain way or nothing. I mean, I don't think that's really it with many bands, but it's like
we can just switch whatever we want to do on a dime.
Yeah,
and we may have people who like it.
Yeah, and then like with the community, it's like we're all like friends, and like all of us have each other's back, and you know, if anyone's messing with anybody, we just have each other's backs all the time.
And you can go like a long time without seeing like people that you've met through like people we've met through Muddle basically, and it'll be like haven't seen them at a show for like 3 months, and you just see them, it's like the same as ever. You're like, hey, what's up? Like that's really cool. But yeah, I personally just love screaming on a stage and being shocked that people are like like honestly.
Well, folks, with that, keep the punk attitude in mind. Keep your friends close, support each other, and scream when you need to. Other people may like it. All right. And with that, I'm Devin Mullen.
I'm Mike Shamil.
And this has been the 8th Note Sessions. Thanks for watching.
Keep it